90%. Just let that sink in for a second. That's the staggering amount of all life on Earth that was just wiped out 250 million years ago. We call it the Great Dying, and it was an event where volcanic eruptions and toxic gases basically rewrote the rules for survival on a nearly empty planet.
But nature absolutely hates a vacuum. And in the ashes of that global catastrophe, a brand new evolutionary arms race was about to kick off. So today, we're going to dig into the fossil record and see exactly how, in a world literally reborn from fire, the ancestors of the dinosaurs began their incredible march to rule the planet.
Okay, so here's how we're going to trace this amazing story. We'll start in the aftermath of the Great Dying. We'll meet the main competitors on this New World stage, and then we're going to follow them through a series of what we call great filters. Think of these as nature's ultimate, brutal exams that decided who would rule the future and who would become just another fossil.
First, you got to picture this post-apocalyptic world. It was alien. It took a mind-boggling 10 million years for the planet to even begin to recover. To give you some perspective, that's more than double the entire span of human evolution. This wasn't just a comeback. It was the birth of a bizarre and hostile new Earth.
So right off the bat, the first huge challenge was the environment itself. The extinction event had pumped the atmosphere full of greenhouse gases, basically cooking the planet. It was hotter and drier than life had ever experienced. All those lush, ground-covering ferns, they just couldn't take the heat. So in their place, a new kind of plant took over. Tough, tall conifers built to save every last drop of water. This single change, right at the bottom of the food chain, was about to change everything else.
So, the stage is set. It's a harsh new world, and into this arena walk two major groups of animals. The fossil evidence we find scattered across the ancient supercontinent of Pangaea shows us the very beginning of a rivalry that would define the entire Triassic period.
In one corner, we've got the synapsids. Now these guys are basically our well, you get the idea. They're our mammal-like ancestors. And at first, they had the upper hand. They were bigger, more numerous, mostly herbivores. And in the other corner, the archosaurs. These are the reptilian ancestors of the dinosaurs. They were smaller, they were faster, and they were carnivores. It was a classic matchup. The big, bulky plant eaters versus the smaller, quicker meat eaters.
And this brings us to that first great filter, a brutal test cooked up by the planet itself, the extreme, wildly fluctuating temperatures. And for the synacids, our big, dominant ancestors, well, this was a test they were about to fail hard.
So you have to ask, what was the archosaur's secret weapon? What did they have that the synapsids didn't? The answer, it turns out, was a biological superpower. We call it thermoregulation, and it was the key adaptation that gave them their first major win.
So how'd this superpower actually work? Well, it wasn't just one magic bullet. It was a whole toolkit of adaptations. Their skin basically became a sophisticated radiator, able to absorb or shed heat as needed. Crucially, they developed a way to regulate their internal body temperature, and this is a huge deal. It's at the core of that whole were dinosaurs warm-blooded or cold-blooded debate that still fascinates us today. Whatever it was, it worked. Add in better lungs and stomachs, and the bottom line was simple. The synapsids were overheating, but the archosaurs were cruising. First test, passed with flying colors.
Okay, so the archosaurs have cracked the code for surviving the climate, but that just means a new problem pops up, a new filter. The food chain was an absolute mess after the extinction. There were way more predators than there was prey. So the new rule of the game became brutally simple. Get fast or get eaten.
And this is where the fossil record gets really cool, because you can literally see this arms race playing out in their bones. Their earlier ancestors had a sprawling stance, kind of like a modern crocodile. But over generations, we see key leg bones, the tibia, the fibula, the astragalus, start to fuse together. This created this incredible, strong, pillar-like leg tucked right under the body. It was a perfect design for efficient, high-speed running.
And it wasn't just about the legs, either. The whole chassis was getting an upgrade. Their necks evolved into this amazing flexible S shape. Think of it like a built-in stabilization system. They could be running flat out, but their head would stay perfectly still, locked onto a target, keeping their center of gravity just right. They were becoming these hyper-efficient hunting machines.
Now, all this pressure for food, it basically forced a fork in the evolutionary road. With prey so hard to find, some of these early dinosaurs said, you know what? I'm tired of chasing lunch. I'm going vegan. These became the ornithischians, or the bird-hipped dinosaurs.
You can see their hip bone points backward, making room for the huge gut you need to digest tough plants. But the others, they doubled down on being predators. They became the Saurischians, the lizard-hipped dinosaurs, with hips built for speed and power. And right there, in that split, you have the two basic blueprints for pretty much every dinosaur we know and love.
Okay, so the dinosaurs are evolving into these incredible specialized animals. But what about our guys, the synapsids? Well, to put it bluntly, they were getting their butts kicked. They were losing the arms race on every single front, outcompeted and hunted down. If they were going to survive, they needed a whole new strategy.
So let's just put ourselves in their shoes. What do? These new super efficient giants are taking over. They're faster, they're tougher, they're better in the heat, and they're eating your lunch. What's your play?
The answer they came up with was absolutely genius. It was, if you can't beat them, hide from them. Instead of trying to get bigger and stronger, they did the exact opposite. They got tiny. They evolved into these little shrew-like creatures we call mammaliforms, and they basically decided to work the night shift, hiding during the day, coming out at night to hunt insects, a food source the big dinosaurs completely ignored. It's a brilliant survival strategy. Just get out of the way.
So now the board is set, right? We have this kind of stable arrangement. Dinosaurs own the day, and our tiny ancestors own the night. But of course, the planet had other plans. There was one more great filter to come, and this time, it was the Earth itself that was going to shake things up.
Around 200 million years ago, the supercontinent of Pangaea just started ripping apart at the seams. And, just like before, this unleashed massive volcanic eruptions, floods of toxic gas, acid rain. I mean, it's like a terrible sequel. A brand new mass extinction event was kicking off.
So after the dust settles from this catastrophe, who's left standing? And this is the fascinating part. It wasn't a lottery. The survivors were the ones who had already aced the previous tests. You've got the dinosaurs, with their heat-proof bodies and efficient builds. The pterosaurs, who had literally risen above the chaos on the ground by taking to the air. And of course, our little mammaliform ancestors, who survived by staying small and out of sight. Each of them held a winning ticket.
And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? The Triassic is over, but the story is just getting started. The world is fractured into new continents with new climates, new rules. The slate has been wiped clean again. So with the world broken anew, who was best equipped to step up and rule the ashes? Well, that is a story for the Jurassic.